There are three major things that I've seen toy companies do to capitalize on our nostalgia, beyond simply keeping the toy lines going because we'll always be buying stuff, but I'll get to those three things right after I say hello! Today on Thirsty Thursday Toys, we're going to compare the two Jurassic Red Rexes and make a cocktail with that very name. For the Red Rex, you'll need cherry juice, bourbon, vanilla vodka, orange juice, and chocolate syrup. In a shaker without ice, add 1 ounce cherry juice, 1.25 ounces of bourbon, a 1/2 ounce of vanilla vodka, 1 ounce of orange juice with no pulp, and a teaspoon of your favorite chocolate syrup. Give it a good solid shake to mix it all up. Pour that over some ice, and enjoy.
Cheers.
Okay, so the three main things that companies do to capitalize on our nostalgia, at least the ones that really stood out to me, are as follows. The first thing is to have advanced collector-specific lines like the Transformers Masterpiece series, Jurassic Amber Collection, Star Wars Black series, SH Monster Arts. Usually larger figures with extra detail, paint, accessories, and articulation, and of course a higher price point. The packaging is also usually darker, I've noticed. The next thing is to simply re-release the original toys, like the latest Playmates Ninja Turtles that appear to be literally the same things, packaging and all, that I saw on the Toys R Us shelves of yesteryear. The third thing is to update older figures by adding features they never had before, or giving it new tooling, or making something that's a clear callback. Hasbro gave new heads to the original Flip Head Power Rangers, Super 7 has some Shogun Godzillas in their Ultimates line, and Mattel has given us things like the '93 Classic line. Appearing on Target shelves in 2023, this real-feel Tyrannosaurus Rex retailed for $49.99. And in typical Target fashion, they completely botched the pre-orders. They had the pre-orders up for their Gatecrasher thing, then later dropped the online price to $24.99 for a week, and then shipped those out before the full-price ones that people had pre-ordered when it first dropped. That'll piss you off. But this may also be the first Target pre-order that shipped to me before I saw it on shelves, so I guess that's a plus. Pre-order problems aside, it looks like there are enough of this figure to go around, and it's even still available for shipping as of the recording of this video, which is great, because nobody should have to pay crazy scalper prices for this, or any figure for that matter, but not that this isn't worth it, because wow. The packaging got me right in the childhood. Even though it isn't the same box as the original Red Rex, it has that perfect red, yellow, and black color scheme, that little combined JP with the number, which on the box says 30 for the 30th anniversary. For this '93 Classic line, they have this electronic Real Feel Rex, the two smaller figure sets, and the tracker set, and I really hope they do more. This new figure appears to me to be a brand new sculpt. It's not like they just repainted their Extreme Chompin' Rex or anything. And I like this sculpt. Does it have the extra large feet? Of course. Could Mattel make their tails longer, which would not only make them look better, but also give them better balance, which would then allow them to reduce the feet sizes? Absolutely, but they're not gonna. And that's, whatever. And sure, for the same cost as the Hammond Collection Rex, we should hold it to a higher standard, but here are the other features that this figure boasts. The main thing, I suppose, is the real feel skin. The legs are your typical plastic, the feet and jaws are a harder rubber, but you have this more flexible rubber throughout the rest of the figure. It's definitely thicker than the original Red Rexes, but it also doesn't feel like it's going to wear down or disintegrate over time. It also has electronics, which, unless it's a light up, is not something I ever care about in a figure. But this one does a great job of hiding it. The body doesn't seem extra bulky, as figures sometimes are when they have to house the electronics, and there's no obvious external button. The button is underneath the skin, which is easy to press due to the rubber. It cycles through a few different roars, which does nothing for me, but if you're into that, then hey! The original also had roaring features, but this works against it, at least in my case. I had to take the batteries out, not just to avoid corrosion, but because it would not stop roaring. The original figure also apparently had an action feature where you squeeze the sides and the jaws open. I don't think this feature ever actually worked on my copy. We just took to squeezing the neck, which opened the jaws really wide, and I did love that. Now, the jaws can't stay open like they can with the newer figure, which I do like a lot more. The neck on the new one is still rubber, so you can make it look a little left and right, but it definitely won't stay in place. This is taken to an extreme with the original figure, and I know mine isn't the only one, but it has a pretty floppy neck. I guess whatever mechanism that allowed the mouth to open is either detached, broken down, or missing entirely, possibly a lysine deficiency. There is, however, a bendy wire in the tail. And I'm not bending the tail on my original one because it needs that tail to stay upright. I thought the new one also had a bendy wire in the tail, but mine feels more like a series of ball joints. Unfortunately, I think the rubber is too thick and or rigid to let it pose without looking like scrunched up rubber. And obviously you've got the same color scheme. I mean, it's close enough. The underbelly spray is much brighter than the original, and it doesn't continue under the jaws, but I'm not that picky. What it does have, though, is the ability to eat minifigures. That's right, just like the Lost World Bull Rex, you can stick minifigures in its mouth and then pull them out from the slit in the belly. It's kind of a smaller opening, so not all the minis will fit, but it's still a fun feature. Now all we need is a little goat. The new one is a little shorter than the original by a few inches, at only 22 inches head to tail compared to the 26 inches of the original, assuming the tails are straight out. While the original has the JP09 marker on its left leg, the left leg on the new one has a plastic flap that reveals the Dino DNA scan thing for that Jurassic Facts app. Speaking of the legs, they're also articulated in the new one, with some rotation at the ankle, this slight widening of the stance, and a really tight ratchet. Either that or I broke it, but it ratchets back into place, so I assume that's okay. With the original, the legs are just there. The arms have two joints, which allow them to move out as well as forward and back, allowing for more natural poses, I guess. With the original, even though they do rotate, they're still just kind of sticking out. While the silhouette of this new figure isn't all that much different than the handful of other Mattel Rexes, I didn't expect it to completely match the original, especially considering that the original is based on the Stan Winston maquette instead of the final animatronic, which explains the interesting pose. I love figures based on maquettes or early artwork, like the variety of 1954 Godzilla figures out there, the original Movie Monster series Monster X, Final Wars Gigan in the Death Trigger colors, and the Lost World Parasaurolophus. This alone makes the original a standout in my Jurassic collection. I was kind of hoping that the new one could replace the old one, but there's still something special about it that makes them both worth keeping. But this is one that's just going to sit on the top of a shelving unit and lord over the rest of the collection, never to be touched again until I need to dust. For the new one, I think I would have loved it so much more as a kid than the original. The ability to have the mouth in varying degrees of openness, and the ability to eat mini dinos would have been huge pluses for a 5-year-old me. As many people complain about the Hammond Collection sculpting or the decreasing paint apps, I think it's spectacular that they came out with this 93 classic line and put as much effort into it as they did. So, if you don't have either of these figures, go get them. Like the figure itself, consume! Or, don't. Maybe the original is good enough for you. Or maybe you're tired of all the different Rexes. Or maybe you never even liked the T-Rex to begin with, and think it's overused and put on a pedestal for the past 30 years. Ooh, hot take. But no matter your thoughts on the figures or character itself, I still want to thank you for watching, wish you good luck on your hunt for whatever figures you're looking for, and remind you to please drink responsibly.